There are moments in life where a single voice, a single sentence can split your world in two. The life you were living and the life you were meant to live. Right now, you're not just sitting here to be motivated. You're here because something inside you is searching for clarity, for energy, for breakthrough. And sometimes when you're on the edge of change, all you need is the right message spoken at the right time to wake something powerful inside you. Today, I'm not just sharing 5 random speeches. I'm handing you 5 keys, 5 moments of fire that have cracked open hearts, shaken people out of mediocrity, and given them the courage to rewrite their story. But here's the truth. Only if you stay. Only if you listen. Because breakthrough doesn't show up on your schedule. It shows up when your soul is ready. And for some of you, that moment is right now. But let me tell you something. Most people never realize until it's too late. Sometimes it only takes one message to completely reroute your life. One moment where someone speaks truth so raw, so undeniable, that it pierces through your doubts, your distractions, your excuses, and suddenly everything you thought you knew about yourself starts to shift. I've seen it happen. I've lived it. You're going through life on autopilot, thinking you're doing fine, managing, surviving, then out of nowhere you hear a voice that says something like, "You were not born to play small," or "Pain is part of life, but suffering is a choice." And it grabs you. You pause, you reflect, and in that pause, in that crack in your old thinking, light gets in. Possibility sneaks through. The right message at the right time doesn't just inspire you, it shakes you. It confronts you. And if you let it, it transforms you. That's the power of a truly life-changing speech. It's not about fancy words or perfect delivery. It's about truth. Raw, uncomfortable, liberating truth. The kind that calls you out, challenges you to rise, and reminds you of who you were before the world told you to settle. And what's crazy is that sometimes it's not even the whole speech. It could be just one phrase, one moment that hits you like a punch to the soul, and you realize, I've been asleep. I've been coasting. I've been waiting for permission to become who I already am deep down. But make no mistake, it's not just about hearing that message. It's about being ready to receive it. You could hear the same words 100 times, but on that one day, when your heart's open, when you're done tolerating your own excuses, it lands. That's when everything changes. That's why this moment matters. That's why I'm sharing these 5 speeches with you, because one of them might be your moment, the spark that lights your fire, the turning point where you stop looking back and finally start stepping into what's possible. You don't need 100 strategies. You don't need a 10-year plan. You need one message, one truth that breaks your pattern and reminds you that your life is bigger than your circumstances. So don't just listen with your ears. Listen with your heart. Listen like your future depends on it, because it might. Let's begin. What you feed your mind shapes your entire reality. I want you to really hear that. What you hear, what you see, what you repeat becomes the foundation of how you think, how you feel, how you act. And most people are sleepwalking through life, not realizing they're programming themselves every single day through the voices they allow in. You don't become who you are by accident. You become it by repetition, by patterns. You wake up, you check your phone, you scroll through noise, comparison, fear-based headlines, and then you wonder why you feel anxious, why you're stuck, why motivation doesn't last. It's not a mystery. You're wiring yourself that way, not deliberately, but by default. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine if you started your day listening to a voice that reminded you of your strength, that called you out and lifted you up, that pulled you out of your excuses and demanded more from you, not because you're not enough, but because you are. That's what these speeches do. They don't just give you motivation, they interrupt the pattern. They inject truth into your bloodstream. They give you access to a version of yourself that's buried beneath the noise. You see, input creates identity. The more you listen to doubt, the more you embody it. The more you listen to power, the more you become it. It's not just psychology, it's conditioning. That's why the right speech doesn't just make you feel good in the moment, it rewires you. It creates new pathways in your thinking. It makes you ask better questions, expect more from yourself. See new possibilities where before you only saw problems. And I'm telling you, the people who break through, who create real lasting transformation, they don't just wait around hoping to feel inspired. They build environments that keep their vision alive. They surround themselves with messages that remind them who they are and where they're going. They listen to truth on repeat until it becomes their internal voice. So don't underestimate this. Don't just think of this as 5 nice speeches. These are 5 weapons, 5 shields, 5 tools that you can come back to anytime life tries to pull you back into old patterns. And you'll need them because life will test you. Challenges will come. The world will try to shrink your dreams. And in those moments, the voice you've rehearsed the most is the one that will lead. Feed your mind powerfully and you'll build a life that reflects it. There's a reason certain speeches stick with us for years, sometimes forever. It's not luck. It's not charisma alone. It's because the people delivering those words are tapped into something deeper. They're not just speaking, they're transmitting. And when you really pay attention, you'll notice something powerful. They all follow similar patterns. Patterns of truth, patterns of resilience, patterns of greatness. That's not coincidence. That's a roadmap. You listen to these 5 speeches, and even though each voice is different, the message underneath carries the same DNA. Every one of them speaks from a place of pain turned into purpose. Every one of them has been through something. Loss, failure, rejection, and instead of letting it define them, they refine themselves. That's the first pattern. Greatness doesn't come from avoiding struggle, it comes from how you use it. The second pattern, they all take absolute responsibility. Not blame, not shame, responsibility. There's a difference. They don't point fingers at the past. They don't play victim to their circumstances. They say, this is my life and I get to decide what I do with it. That kind of ownership is rare, but it's also magnetic because when someone owns their life fully, it gives you permission to do the same. And here's the third thing they all do. They speak to the warrior in you, not the weakness. They don't coddle, they challenge, they stretch your thinking, they remind you that you're built for more, not because they're trying to hype you up, but because they've been where you are. They've had the doubts, they've lived the fear, but they chose to rise anyway. And when you hear that come through in their voice, something in you rises too. So what does that mean for you? It means if you really listen, if you lean in, not just with your ears, but with your whole being, you're going to start to feel something familiar in all 5 speeches, like a thread being pulled through your soul. Because the truth is, success leaves clues. And these voices are leaving you a trail, not a shortcut, but a direction, a map to who you can become if you commit. Don't just be inspired by what they say, study how they think, study how they show up, because that's the secret. You don't need to be them. You need to learn from them, integrate what works, adopt the mindset, practice the discipline, speak with that same fire, not because you're copying someone else, but because you finally uncovered your own. Patterns of greatness are everywhere if you're awake enough to see them. Here's where it all comes together. You've heard the power of the message. You've seen how what you listen to shapes you. You've learned that greatness follows patterns. But none of it matters if you don't make a decision. Because at the end of the day, information changes nothing. Only a decision does. A real one. A decision that says, I'm done dipping my toe in the water. I'm in. You can listen to the most powerful speeches in the world. You can feel every word, get chills, even cry. But if you walk away and do nothing, if you go back to old habits, old excuses, old environments, nothing in your life is going to change. That's not because you're not capable. It's because transformation doesn't happen through exposure, it happens through execution. And that starts with a decision. Every one of these speeches can light a fire inside you, but you have to feed that fire. You have to choose what comes next. Are you going to just be inspired for a moment, or are you going to take that energy and do something with it? Something uncomfortable, something bold, something that pulls you out of your current pattern. And listen, I get it. Change is scary. Making a real decision means there's no going back. It means burning the boat and saying, I'm not living this way anymore. It means stepping into a new version of yourself and leaving the old one behind. That takes courage. But you wouldn't be here if you didn't already have that inside you. You came here for more, you listened for a reason. So let's be real. What if this moment right now, right here, was the one you look back on and said, that's when it shifted. That's when I stopped just hearing and started living. That's what these speeches are here to do, not just to motivate, but to spark something that lasts, to become part of your internal language, to echo in your mind when you want to quit, to remind you, even in your lowest moments, that you already have what it takes. But again, it only becomes real when you decide to own it, to act on it, to be it. So what are you going to do with this moment? Because the truth is, you're not waiting on a miracle, you're waiting on a choice. And that choice is yours.